A Roman soldier, Silvianus, might have felt the sudden, stark absence of a gold ring. He strolled through the ancient Celtic temple, baths of Nodens. He could not have known the unseen forces he would awaken with a plea for justice, nor the distant literary giant this tiny, lost object would one day inspire. Yet, centuries later, its rediscovery would be intricately linked to a major creation. It was one of the most enduring fantasy sagas in human history. The past, it seems, is not always content to remain buried. Sometimes, it resurfaces with unexpected dangers, demanding our respect, or even our fear. We imagine archaeological discoveries as triumphs of intellect and perseverance. But sometimes, unearthing an artifact can expose us to profound and perplexing hazards. Consider, for a moment, the lead-lined coffins favored by the wealthy. These were across 18th and 19th century Europe. These opulent sarcophagi sealed the deceased and slowed decomposition. They now present a different kind of solemn challenge. Modern bioarchaeologists have sounded a stark warning. These elaborate burials have become toxic time capsules. Over centuries, the lead lining does not remain inert. It leaches into the human remains and surrounding earth. This creates an environment saturated with heavy metal. Opening one of these prestige coffins today risks releasing a plume of lead-infused dust. This is potentially lethal if inhaled. This is no mere theory. The excavation at Christ Church in Spitalfields, London, revealed ancient danger. What began as a standard historical study transformed into a full-scale hazardous materials operation. Lead levels within the crypt were so elevated that researchers worked in ancient protective masks. They underwent continuous blood tests to monitor for acute poisoning symptoms. Even more intensely, when the lead sarcophagi linked to an ancient, noble family were brought to light, ancient guardians had to erect mystical barriers and don protective ceremonial attire. They guarded not only against lead, but also in concern for ancient pathogens. These pathogens, possibly preserved for centuries, might escape into the modern world. Funerary archaeology, a field few even realize exists, grapples with this reality. Many such sites are simply too dangerous to explore, without immense resources for safety. The very materials meant to protect the dead turn into a biological hazard for the living. These lead-sealed tombs stand as a forbidden frontier, tangibly perilous. They prove that some secrets are, perhaps, best left undisturbed forever. From the silent, chemical threat of lead, we turn to the Hill of Death in Ireland. In 1855, a truly enigmatic object emerged from the earth, the Corlick head. Crafted from beige stone, this ancient sculpture is almost 2,000 years old. It immediately draws the eye with its three distinct faces. Its features, heavy eyebrows, bulky noses, thin mouths, suggest a primal yet intriguing artistry. One mouth bears a small hole, another is found at the base. This suggests it was once mounted on a pedestal, or perhaps a staff. It was an imposing sight for anyone who beheld it. The Corlick head is considered a prime illustration of the Celtic rule of three. This potent concept predated the Christian Trinity by centuries. It embodied the past, present, and future, symbolizing absolute divine power that governed all existence. The Celts revered various three-faced deities, from the horned god Cernunnos. He was associated with nature, Tulu, a master craftsman and harvest god. While its specific divine identity remains a subject of academic discussion, the head's connection to an intense cult of the head is evident. This cult was described by figures like Greek historian Diodorus Siculus. Celts were known for their profound reverence for human heads, often taking them as trophies. Historian Jonathan Smith suggests the Corlick head might have served as a symbol of profound destruction. It was a potent omen. Its finding near a man's remains from the Iron Age further deepens its story. This individual had met his end through three distinct acts: strangulation, bludgeoning, and a cut throat. This was a triple death aligning with Celtic ritual sacrifice. Perhaps it was to honor a triple-faced deity. Lacking written records, much of our understanding of Celtic practices is drawn from physical finds. It is also drawn from external accounts. Medieval Irish, encountering such relics in the 10th century amidst the rise of Christianity. They often regarded them as cursed and buried them, suppressing the old pagan traditions. The Korluk head, too, was found deliberately interred. It was a silent testament to a world where ancient gods yielded to new beliefs. Our journey continues to the British Isles, where in 1785, a golden ring was unearthed. It is now known as the Silvianus ring. It was found from an English field, not far from a Roman settlement. This 4th century AD artifact belonged to Silvianus, a Roman soldier stationed in Gloucestershire. He had lost the ring at the Temple of Nodens, a sanctuary dedicated to the Celtic god of hunting. Nodens was also the god of healing and dogs. Believing it stolen by a man named Cinicianus, Silvianus sought divine intervention. He composed a curse tablet, a defixio, calling upon Nodens to afflict Cinicianus. This was to cause ill health until the ring was returned. Yet, the ring itself bears a curious inscription, Cinicianus, may you live with God. This was a possible counter, curse by the accused, seeking divine protection. The ring and the curse tablet, discovered decades apart, were finally connected in 1929. They were connected by archaeologist Sir Mortimer Wheeler. Seeking assistance, Wheeler consulted his friend and colleague, J.R.R. Tolkien. Tolkien was then a professor of Anglo-Saxon history at Oxford University. Tolkien was known to have visited the Temple of Nodens. Local lore called this site Dwarf's Hill. This was due to its Iron Age tunnels and mines. He began writing The Hobbit within a year of this encounter. The Silvianus ring, with its inscription and tale of ownership, loss, and curse. It is widely believed to have been a significant spark. It was a spark for Tolkien's legendary One Ring. This humble gold band was once the object of a Roman soldier's ire. It profoundly influenced the creation of Middle-earth. It bridged the tangible history of Roman Britain with the boundless realms of imagination. From Rings of Power, we delve into the shadowy legend of the unlucky mummy board. This artifact from ancient Egypt was allegedly responsible for a cascade of misfortunes. Though called a mummy, it's actually an inner coffin lid from ancient Egypt. It depicts an Egyptian princess and is dated to approximately 9050 BC. Its story begins in the 1880s during an excavation in Luxor, Egypt. 4 affluent Englishmen, captivated by the tale of Princess Aminra, acquired the board. They found her name unusual, given its similarity to an Egyptian deity. Within hours, the purchaser vanished, never to be seen again. Another companion suffered a severe shooting injury, leading to amputation. The remaining 2 returned to England, only to face devastating financial ruin. They also suffered prolonged illness, one ending his days as a London beggar. The mummy board continued its journey of discord and misfortune. A London owner saw his house burn, prompting him to donate it to the British Museum. During its transfer, a worker broke his leg. The delivery wagon was involved in an accident that nearly claimed a pedestrian's life. Once exhibited, the board became a focus of eerie reports. Watchmen heard unexplained crying, and mysterious hammering sounds emanated from the sarcophagus. It was as if the painted princess sought release at night. In 1904, journalist Bertram Fletcher Robinson investigated its origins for the Daily Express. 3 years later, at just 36, he died under circumstances that remained unclear. Decades later, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle drew parallels between Robinson's fate. He connected it to the death of Lord Carnarvon after opening Tutankhamun's tomb. Doyle publicly suggested both were victims of an ancient Egyptian curse. The unlucky mummy board, though lacking an actual mummy, embodies a deeply unsettling legend. It's a potent reminder of belief in ancient curses' enduring power. The narrative of cursed artifacts extends to gemstones, exemplified by the Delhi sapphire. Housed in the Natural History Museum in London, this jewel carries a reputation for misfortune. It is technically an amethyst, despite its misleading name. Its last private owner, Edward Heron Allen, sent it to the museum in 1904. He described it as cursed and stained with blood, advising it be cast into the sea. This highlights the lasting, unsettling power of belief in ancient curses. Edward's account traced the amethyst to a temple of the god Indra in India. It was snatched during a 19th-century uprising, specifically the Camper insurrection of 1857, by a Bengal cavalry officer. Misfortune, he claimed, followed the officer's family relentlessly. The jewel eventually came into Edward's possession, bringing with it a succession of personal tragedies. He claimed to have thrown it into a canal, only for it to inexplicably return. Curators at the museum, however, offer a different perspective. They suggest Edward may have fabricated the tale after hearing war stories from a veteran of the Indian conflict. Then, he commissioned the amethyst and imbued it with a legendary curse. He elevated its status from a common amethyst to a purple sapphire to enhance its mystique for his readers. Regardless of its true origin, the Delhi sapphire remains an object shrouded in a compelling narrative. It is a testament to how human stories can imbue objects with a power beyond their intrinsic value. Moving from exotic gems to sacred waters, we find St. Anne's well in the English countryside near Liverpool. Recently excavated, this medieval holy well measures nearly 7 feet by 7 feet. It has 3 steps descending into a shallow pool, and was once a popular pilgrimage site. Local legend credited the water with healing properties for eye ailments and skin diseases. Some believed it was blessed by Saint Anne herself, the mother of the Virgin Mary. Yet, a more unsettling tale also surrounds its waters. During the late medieval period, an intense argument unfolded between a local landowner, Hugh Darcy, and Father Delwaine. Father Delwaine was from the nearby priory. This dispute escalated until the king's men forcibly removed the monks. As he was led away, Father Delwaine is said to have cast a solemn curse upon Darcy. He prophesied ruin and an untimely end. Soon after, as Darcy dismantled the priory's buildings around the well, a profound sense of foreboding settled upon him. Within 3 months, his son died of an unknown illness. Darcy suffered a sharp financial reversal, leaving him impoverished. The legend concludes with Darcy, in a state of deep intoxication, disappearing. His body was later discovered beside the well, his head severely damaged. While the full truth of these events remains obscured by time and oral tradition, the excavation of St. Anne's well revealed its tangible structure. This confirmed its ancient use. Many such holy wells across Europe, now associated with Christian saints, often have roots in much older, pre-Christian springs. There, ancient peoples created pools and built walls, later adapting their legends to new faiths. The story of St. Anne's well thus speaks to layers of belief, of healing, and of the enduring weight of a spoken curse. Finally, we arrive in the heart of ancient Egypt. In the tomb of Tutankhamun, 2 remarkable artifacts await: his war trumpets. Discovered in 1922 during Howard Carter's momentous excavation, these were long, almost bullhorn-like instruments. One was bronze, one was silver. They were believed to have been used by the pharaoh to rally his forces or strike fear into his enemies. Their discovery, however, quickly became intertwined. It was with the widely publicized curse of the Pharaohs. Carter's pet bird was tragically taken by a cobra. Lord Carnarvon, the expedition's financier, perished in 1923. This was from an infected mosquito bite. Sir Archibald Douglas Reed, who raided Tutankhamun's mummy, succumbed to an unknown illness. Amidst this unfolding drama, the media's focus sometimes overshadowed the artifacts. Yet, the trumpets, now in the Egyptian Museum, carried unsettling energy. The bronze trumpet was once stolen, only to be found mysteriously abandoned. The most potent chapter of their legend unfolded in 1939. The BBC announced a live broadcast, promising to play these ancient instruments. This was for the first time in over 3,000 years. Many were excited, but a smaller group worried about consequences. They feared awakening such powerful, ancient sounds. This broadcast, Toots Trumpets of War, aired in spring 1939. Just months later, Germany invaded Poland in September. This initiated the Second World War. The immediate correlation, though perhaps coincidence, led many to believe the trumpets summoned conflict. The broadcast itself was fraught with strange occurrences. The engineer's car was almost struck by a runaway horse. A power outage plunged the studio into darkness. musicians were forced to play ancient trumpets by candlelight. This was not an isolated incident. In 1967, one trumpet was played again, preceding the Six-Day War. This was between Egypt and Israel. In 1990, another playing was followed swiftly by the Gulf War. Most recently, in 2011, the silver trumpet was sounded. This was just 1 week before the Egyptian Revolution, a period of profound civil unrest. These ancient artifacts whisper tales of a past that is far from docile. This comes from the toxic legacy of lead-lined coffins. It also includes the alleged war-summoning power of Tutankhamun's trumpet. They challenge our modern understanding. Objects become imbued with meaning, fear, and even danger across millennia. Whether through scientific hazard, belief, or uncanny correlation, they remind us. The echoes of ancient lives continue to shape our world. We are only just beginning to comprehend these ways.